Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you're tuning on the MyBC Consulting Facebook page. To say I'm thrilled, delighted, elated, inspired is an understatement today. Around the globe, to the four corners of this round world, is International Women's Day. It's a day that we pause, we celebrate the women that have come before us, the women that walk our journeys with us, and the women we are yet to meet. Like all of you, my 2027 followers here on my page, you're about to meet some incredible women from all over North America. So welcome, ladies. I give you a woo, woo, woo. And we're going to go around the room in no particular order than on my screen, and where you're sitting on my screen, you may be sitting on your screens somewhere else, is that we'll start with Miss Lucia Steeg. And introduce yourself. Please tell our audience, our viewers, what your business is, how long you've been in business, and what inspired you to get into business. And I'll just pause just for a second there, very casual here. Anybody watching this on the replay or watching it live, and you have any questions during this next hour for any of the people that you're going to be, these lovely ladies you're going to be hearing about, please put it into the comments. They're going to come back and answer your questions afterwards. I'd like to stay in the flow with these amazing women. So please take it away, Lucia.
Hi, thank you, Jeanette, and happy International Women's Day to all you beautiful women in business. It's an honor to be here, as always. So I had no idea I was going to start this business. I've been in business for 2 years. My business name is Messy Meerkat Studios. I'm a mixed media artist, and I'm based in Surrey, British Columbia. Up until about 3 years ago, I was still living in South Africa. We had started the immigration process to come to Canada and arrived in Canada on the 29th of February, 2020. Of course, what happened? The global pandemic happened. And that led to some interesting ways of thinking, or just that gave us a pause to think about what we want to do. So I had an opportunity and I decided to take it. It's a big risk getting into business, especially in the arts field. It's not an easy step to take. I come from a corporate background. So, safety in a corporate job, almost, you want to say. Safety in that guaranteed paycheck at the end of the month. But is it really? So what I'd like to say to any women that are listening and thinking about this, find a network of incredibly supportive women. They are there to lift you up, to give you guidance, to give you mentorship, and to help you in your business journey. I think that is the one piece of advice that I can really do. And to learn the art of networking. I had to learn how to network. It wasn't a concept that I was particularly familiar with. It's not that easy, but find those women that are there. They'll lift you up. They'll support you every step of the way. I was very fortunate in 2021 to have met Jeanette. So Jeanette started me on the journey with networking and being supportive and trying to assist me in my business and opening up her heart and, her business to me. So ladies, find someone that will support you and lift you up. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I'm going to try hard not to cry today, but tears just make more space than your heart. So I'm just saying that if I cry today during any of your stories. Let's go up to America's Supermom. Please introduce yourself, what your business is, and what inspired you to get into business.
Well, thank you, Jeanette, as always, for having this platform and opportunity to share your greatness. I'm excited to be here on your platform. But I am LaChelle, also known as America's Supermom. I'm the mother of 15 children. I have one of my daughters who's wanted me to show this shirt. This is a shirt that she got for her class. They're going on a field trip. So she's like, can you show them? So it is International Women's Day. She's showing you the whole outfit, the jeans, okay? But I am very excited. I started my business about 7 years ago, working with other women. My superpower is being able to put depression under my feet. I am an overcomer of 13 years of depression, 3 hospitalizations. So now I train ambitious professionals on ways that they can take this overwhelm, chaos, burnout, and transform it into clarity and confidence with a smile. So I'm excited to be here today.
Thank you so much. Just to reloop, LaChelle, can you say where you're coming in from? Like, where is?
Oh, from Georgia in the United States. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Lucia, I'm just going to go back to you. Can you let everyone know where you are located on this big blue marble?
I'm in Surrey, British Columbia, Canada.
Beautiful. Let's go over to Terilee Harrison, please.
Hi, everyone. Happy International Women's Day. Jeanette, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here in your platform and share. What an honor it is to just be in this space with these amazing women, and to all the women that may watch live or the replay. It has been quite a surprise to me in my career that I have spent the last 15 years focused on business networking and helping people learn how to build their tribe, build their network, and grow their business through relationships and relationship marketing. I started off, I'm coming to you from Houston, Texas today, but when I started off, I was in Southern California and pounding the pavement, driving all over the Los Angeles County and that greater area. If you would have asked me 15 years ago, if eventually I would have had a global network, because I was so, in my area, which LA County's it's not a small area, everybody, but I would have said you were absolutely crazy. And the biggest kicker is that I grew up in a small town in Northwest Ohio. And if you would have asked me if I would have a global network, when I hit in my 50s, I would have been like, no, that just wasn't in the realm. But this is what I'm here to share with everyone. And that's, if it's something you want to do, it is totally achievable. It's stepping into I can be global. I can be national. I could be statewide, like whatever it is for you. It's really in our mind of making that decision of how you're going to show up in the world. And let me say this, for some of us, we have businesses that we have to serve locally, like our chiropractor, maybe a realtor, the banker, right? Some people absolutely will serve locally and serve well. But there are some of you that can reach out beyond your borders. And so I'm here just to be your inspiration, encouragement that if a small town girl like me could do it, so can you. So back to you, Jeanette.
Perfect. What's the name of your business? I know you have a couple.
I'm sorry. Very proud to be here and with so many of our women from virtual team that's part of Team Referral Network.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Let's go down to Angelica. Angelica, introduce yourself. Where are you? Name of your business. What inspired you and your story to get into business?
Okay, well, my name is Angelica, and I own a floral design company here in Aldergrove, BC, called Styled by Wild. And before I get into my story, there are just so many, I'm just fluttering with like a million different things that I want to talk about. But to touch on 2 points that I hear being made that I just want to amplify which is something that I have been so passionate about in my business, is building friendships and building relationships. And I really think that if there is one big piece of advice that I hear coming out of this, is it's the relationships that you build and the way that you nurture the relationships that is really so important. I don't know how many times in my business it has been the way that I have built my friendships that has been able to keep me moving forward. And there's been times where it's been super stressful and overwhelming, but it's been, that person that I made a personal connection with that maybe I didn't even make a sale with, but it's because I was able to connect with them on a deeper level than just a transaction that allowed such a more beautiful thing to flourish from that. So, and then with being able to work globally, be in the flower business, you have 2 customers. You have the person who's ordering the flowers and the person who's receiving the flowers. Well, I would say that about 50% of people who find me through Google are from very far away. I've served from France, from all over the United States, and from coast to coast. And those are customers. And then I have my customers here in the Aldergrove Valley area. So it's beautiful. You might not think you might think a flower shop is just serving its community, because I do serve the community really well, but I am able to serve to people who know people in Aldergrove. And so to wrap it all up in a bow, I grew up on Vancouver Island, left the island, and that's where my love for flowers and plants and the wilderness came in. My middle name is Rainbow Forest, so it was kind of, part of this natural flower thing has been part of my life since I was born. Had a beautiful career in hospitality, had worked really hard on that. The pandemic, I was a catering and events manager who trained sales and used to travel all over the country training people on how to do sales. And when the pandemic hit, everything about my role and my career and the life that I used to live completely halted. And so I went back to my roots, literally, and then found a floral design certification because I wanted to stay in the event industry. And 2.5 years later, I'm here in Aldergrove with a studio. And if I have one piece of advice for anyone who is looking to start a business or a side hustle or anything like that, it's just to look fear in the face and just understand that that is a feeling, but that is not who you are. And
Sure
that
enough.
just because you are afraid of something does not mean that you are going to fail. And that sometimes failure is the best way for us to grow. And you just got to try.
Excellent. Great advice there. So what a great segue. Let's go up to Gail. From hospitality in the past, you've got an alignment here. Go ahead, Gail.
Yeah, hello, everyone. Happy International Women's Day. And thank you so much, Jeanette, for inviting me. And my name is Gail Speckham, and I am from South Palm Beach, Florida. And I was in the hospitality industry total 44 years. My husband and I owned a couple of restaurants for 34 years. And once we sold them, he went to the Culinary Institute of America in Hyde Park. He was a master chef. And we worked with a lot of certified master chefs, and he was a teacher. And so the hospitality industry has always been in my blood. I love serving people. I love sharing talents with people. And I especially, one of my biggest secrets is to be passionate about what you're doing. And globally, I have reached out since we sold the restaurants, and my husband and I were in Singapore for 6-month stretches because they have a school over there, and he was teaching there, and I learned communications over there with many of the Singapore people. And my husband was from Germany, so I have contacts in Germany. And also I have built through a lot of worldwide chefs, the world star Michelin chefs on LinkedIn. And I think that's about it.
What do you do now, Gail?
Oh, now sorry about that. I have a couple of companies that I'm blending together, working mainly still within the hospitality industry. And one is Mailbox Power, which is basically gratitude marketing with many tools to help people in business and very affordable.
Okay, perfect. I just want to ask Terilee, because your eyes kind of sparkled a little bit. Did you know that Gail lived in Singapore? Because share right now before we go over to Lisa, your story about living in Singapore, Terilee.
Well, we spent 5 years in Singapore for my husband's work from 2017 till June of 2022, and just returned to the States, to Houston. So Gail, no, I had no idea that you had been doing different stints in Singapore. So we must chat Southeast Asia soon. Yeah.
There's just the power. There's just the incredible alignment of when you are present and listening to other people's stories. It's just amazing, amazing. So head on over to Lucia DeToffol. Introduce yourself, your business, where you are in this big blue marble, and what inspired you to get into business.
Thank you, Miss Jeanette, and happy International Women's Day, everyone. So happy to be here. My business is Tiger Eye Solution. It's an expert virtual assistant business. But prior to starting my business 4.5 years ago, I was a preschool teacher for over 25 years. So I worked in the classroom with a lot of little children. As I served those children and built relationships with those children, I now brought that into the professional world, and I now do that with my clients. Relationship building and management, of course, we all know is very important. in the business industry and professional world. So my team and I have a team with Tiger Eye Solution, help our clients do just that in various different ways. Help move their business forward, help them build and nurture those relationships to be successful. I'm located in Spartanburg, South Carolina. And yes, I totally agree with what everyone else has said about building relationships in the networking industry. It really does move the needle in the right direction for sure to build your business. So thank you, Jeanette, for this. And I'm so glad to be here.
Thank you. I'm so excited. You all know on my Facebook page that I'm a business relationship strategist and a social media whisperer. I love to whisper out about other people and connect up people and use my platform, my social media to make sure that we're lifting up and shouting out other women. And I hear a common theme that I just want to kind of pull together this thought process, and then I have a question for about family to the group. Is we often say when we're looking at our social media platforms and the people that are following us and subscribers, and you kind of will negate engaging with a certain person. So if I have somebody, let's just say in Naples, Italy, and they're a follower of mine, and it's like, oh, I'm not going to acknowledge, even though they show up time and time again on my social media platforms. And they're always putting love, hearts on my Instagram or engaging on my LinkedIn's or wherever platform I'm on. And I choose not to engage with that person. And then it's like, that's silly. I'm going to engage with that person because they keep showing up for me. And what we don't recognize on social media is that person that's in Naples, their brother, sister, aunt, uncle doesn't live in Vancouver. That because I was kind to them and acknowledged they showed up for me, that they are going to go, you're so lucky that you can go have a coffee with Jeanette. So I encourage you all out there, and how to use social media effectively to social connect, is take a look at your followers. Start engaging with those people that lived far, far away from you. As what we've learned in this last 3 years, everybody knows somebody close to where you are. And how you behave and how you foster and how you show the love to that follower, subscriber on your platforms that keeps showing up for your stuff. You just never know that under the table, they're not text messaging their best friend that lives within driving distance, coffee distance of you, to want to go, you're so lucky you get to go meet Terilee, or you're so lucky you can go get flowers from Angelica. So that's my words of wisdom to wrap up that thought process from what I do for a living. So I'm going to go up and we're going to talk a little bit now about the big F, the F-A-M-I-L-Y, the family. We all are part of families today. I'm blessed I just did a post on my personal page of the lovely women that are in my life, my mom, my sisters, sister-in-laws, nieces, great nieces. I'm blessed to be just smack in the middle of a whole bunch of amazing women like I am on screen right now. So LaChelle, I think, well, I know because you have 15 children, let's throw it up to you on how you balance being a businesswoman and being a mom of 15 children, also a grandma to a couple of grandbabies.
Yeah, I think this is a great question because I'm a little of a rebel. I don't think there ever is balance with family and business. I think it's just harmony. How can you manage the ups and downs of life? And right before we hit record, my husband has taken one of our kids to the prompt care. He's not feeling well. And I'll be in transit here shortly, picking up another one from cheerleading practice. But I think it is communication is so important. Really being clear on what it is that you have going on. It was like a no toss up at all. It was like, hey, I have to be on a call. So, duty transferred from me to my husband to take him to the doctor, and being okay with that, understanding that, it's important to show up for yourself and your business, and other people are there to support you for that. You don't have to be in all places at all times. I think a lot of it for me in my past was I felt like there were certain things that were mother specific. If they go to the doctor, it has to be me taking them to the doctor. I have to take them to the dentist. And, when you understand that parenthood, is a responsibility from both parties, and even beyond both husband and wife. There's times that my daughters take them places on field trips and things like that. So communication is key, and having systems is key. Making sure that you have a calendar set up so that people are understanding what your obligations are, things that you have to do, and they're able to work around it, and having a great support system. And then lastly, just being honest, hey, I can't be all places at all times. And so finding ways that you can navigate through that would be my answer.
Thank you so much, LaChelle. I'm going to throw this over to Lucia DeToffol. We are connections as well as friends, and we network, and love and adore you, Miss Lisa. You've got an interesting dynamic that you have a husband at home. You still have a child at home. You have a family member that's now married and grandbabies now, all within like the last couple of 3 months. How have you managed family and growing a thriving business?
Thank you, Jeanette, for that question. And I have to agree with LaChelle. Communication is so important. Yes, I just became a grandmother in January of this year. My oldest son and his wife had twins. So that is a balancing act right there within itself, becoming new parents. And of course, new parents to 2 children versus just 1 child. So that is where the extended family has to come into play as well. They do have grandparents that can help take care of them. I'm one of those grandparents. So yes, at any given time, I can step in and help take care of those grandbabies. My daughter-in-law actually had to have surgery last Friday as well. So there again, extended family had to step in and take care of those babies. Just like LaChelle was saying, at any given moment, something can change. She has a sick child today. So yes. Communication is key to keep everyone in line and get everything accomplished for sure. Thank you.
Terilee, I'm going to phrase this question for you. You shared that you've, were abroad for a while with your family, with your husband. And how did you maintain, because there could be a woman out there going, there's an opportunity for me to move either with my husband, or I'm going to go relocate somewhere, and I've still got family, and that sense of I want to still belong and keep in touch. So while you were away for 5 years and you were supporting your business as well as your husband's, dreams and ambitions, how did you keep your family together?
Such a good question for those who are facing that right now. And part of the time I was gone, and when Lucia said she moved in the end of February in 2020, I was like, because part of our time away was a time of, gosh, all the things happening, and the COVID anywhere in the world was not easy. But some of it is, I think, traveling regularly, like figuring out who is able, who is willing, and knowing when I'm going to see you again. So COVID made that hard because none of us really knew, right? But just like we keep in touch on Zoom, I'm going to tell you something that COVID taught me, and that was I regularly, my dad turned 80 and I couldn't get back to Florida. And so we held a big old Zoom thing, or like on the holidays, we Zoomed with extended family. And you know what, before COVID, even in Singapore, I didn't do that. So I learned things. And then having regular times, knowing that people have their schedules, right? Imagine LaChelle's schedule, but our family all have schedules. And so whether it's you're in a different time zone and you need to navigate what is the best day and time, and to talk to people, just figuring it out. And gosh, it takes effort, but we know it's worth it, right? It takes effort, but we know it's worth it. So yeah, it was an interesting time, Jeanette, to be sure. Yeah.
So it's almost like if you're wanting to make this decision to travel, is having those conversations with your family going, what how do you want us to keep communicating? Because I know even with our clients out there, we've got the ones who like to DM through our social media platforms. We have the ones that like to DM our phone. We have the ones that like to email. We have the ones that like to call. And we love to meet people how they like to communicate. So what I hear, and kind of paraphrasing back, Terilee, to what you were doing, is setting up those, okay, this is how we're going to communicate the big things. This is how we're going to communicate. Are you guys all going to be okay with this? And setting that into motion. So well done. I've had some great, well, this is Zoom live over to Facebook. I've had some amazing opportunities with my own family. My family dynamic, my sister lives in Prague in Czech. I have a niece that her daughter lives in Hong Kong, and everyone in between. So finding that sweet spot to celebrate has been very interesting. And it's possible. Anything's possible when you want to make it happen. So a little bit different question to Angelica. I'm presuming, though we're recent friends, that I've never seen you post anything about having babies or children. Is being a woman in business and still being a daughter in a family dynamic with a family, how do you keep that connection to your family, and you just want to keep going and doing your business? How do you keep your connection to your family? Or to even your, I'm going to say extended, as they say, family is not necessarily blood. So how do you keep connected to your family of friends? So, and come across in a way that's like, oh no, I just got to do business. I just got to do business kind of thing.
Well, I would say that the entire community of Aldergrove has become like family to me, right? And so when we look at, like, because I didn't grow up in the Lower Mainland, right? I have a few relatives out here, but I'm not actively seeing any blood relatives on a weekly or even monthly, even biannually. I've always put my career kind of and my own development first in a lot of ways. And I have made a lot of sacrifices because of that. But at the end of the day, I'm also absolutely grateful because I grew up in a way where, like, I had to go out and I had to work if I wanted anything from a very young age, right? And so to answer your question, how do I balance friendships and family and my business? I mean, I make things as much of a priority as possible. I mean, I try to be really rigid, and I try to take my days off, which are Sundays and Mondays, and I fill those with things. A lot of my friends all know that if they want some quality time with Angelica, and you really want some quality time with Angelica, you can come hang out at her studio. Because who doesn't want to hang out around flowers, right? And so there's that. I mean, I'm a super active person, and so I do a lot of activity. I like to do activities with my friends, right? So I hike with them, I golf with them, we go snowboarding together. Like, I like my life to be very full. And then when I do see family, I travel to Vancouver Island, and I used to spend a lot of time over there, but because of the pandemic, I don't know that there's a family in this world that didn't get polarized because of what happened. So I think just from a reality standpoint, family changed for a lot of people, and family changed for me. And I'm kind of in the state of like rebuilding. I think that now that so much time has passed, any of those like polarized relationships have had time to calm, and we've had time to kind of lead into our relationships with more compassion and more understanding for people and the choices that they made. I mean, I feel like talking about family can go in a lot of different directions and can be really challenging for a lot of people. And honestly, it's even a kind of challenging question to be asked, just because I think that when we talk about family, it just goes into all of the different layers of the onion, because family dynamics is this thing that we get born into, and we don't really have a choice, and we have to kind of make the best, out of whatever the dynamic or however it is, or the geographical challenges, or all of the different things, right? I think we could have a whole hour-long Zoom just about balancing family dynamics.
Maybe family day next year. Family day next year. We have a lot about family and the family dynamics. You're so true. And to To kind of paraphrase back in what I'm seeding in my heart is that respect for the person, respect for family, blood, and or otherwise. And I love what you said, that you let your friends know that you want good times. It's Sunday, Monday, and letting them know that that's when I'm open for friend business. And, Tuesday to Saturday, I'm working and being clear with your boundaries. That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Angelica. So I'm going to send it up to Miss Lucia, because if we heard at the beginning, we kind of came from South Africa, family, maybe left there, up to Canada. The dynamic of your husband is from Canada in this area, to where your family is now. So how about you, and how have you, as a businesswoman, the last 2 years, you've been a lot of, I like to say, head down, butt up, working, creating your amazing art, that you've been able to balance family and business?
So in many ways, and I say this from an expat point of view, that my parents are both deceased. So you don't have that terrible, how can you say, that terrible struggle that expats have, or people that have immigrated have, when they miss their parents, when they've got aging parents, in a different country. It can be very difficult. I've seen some, my heart bleeds for some of the women in a group, and I see how they struggle with that kind of thing. I have a sister in South Africa, and she's getting on. So I'm hoping that she's going to, in time, move closer, to the United Kingdom. So that's just a few hours away by plane. And my daughter decided to immigrate to Ireland for the time being. And her and her husband are residing in Ireland. So it becomes really, really important to taking time zones into consideration. Communication, again, it's going to come up. Communication for sure. And then saving space, for each other. So we had my daughter's baby shower via Zoom. And, you can do those things. Pre-pandemic, we would have been like, oh, that's a little weird. But now it's not so weird anymore. You can literally, do these things. You can have a Christmas dinner on Zoom, with each other. And it's not the same as being in the same space as each other, but there's still that connection. It also becomes very important, as families are, there can be conflict. It becomes very important to have, conflict resolution in place when you have a bit of a huff with each other. And when you do get to see each other, throw 100% of your focus in, around the time that you have together. Make the most of the time that you have together. Because it could be a couple of months or even a year before you see each other again. So that's how we managed to do it. It's not easy.
I love what you just said there, and I want to acknowledge it, is when you meet in person, or the new perceived person, and you make that time, it's not the time to bring up past crap. It's not the time. It's the time to celebrate the moment, celebrate what's going to happen in the future, envision the next time that you're going to get together, that how we can support each other going forward versus continuing to bring up the past. There's no, pardon me, there's only shit back there. And I don't know about you, but unless you got good quality shit on your garden, it's not going to grow. I'm sorry. That's probably the only swear word I'm going to say, just to let you know. Gail.
Sorry, Jeanette, you're 100% right, because you being on different continents, you got to sort of, focus on the present, live in the present. Do not, do not worry about all the other things that have gone on. So.
Love it. So Gail, you mentioned something that I want to acknowledge and ask you this question. You mentioned that you and your husband were in the hospitality industry for 44 years. I'm looking at you and you look fantastic, my friend. And I'm just kind of doing, you started when you were 13 years old, I swear. Or maybe, no, I'm being facetious here. Is that I look in, there'd be some women out there that is like, okay, 44 years, I'm done, I'm out, I'm retired. That's it. And you live in South, you've sent pictures to us that are friends, and I love your view on your apartment and where you live. tell us, why did you pick up a new career at this age?
Well, after we sold our restaurants and we went to the Culinary Institute, I started a gift business, which I carried on. And then my husband became ill in Singapore, so I had to shut it down over here. Came back and ended up packing up the house and moving to Florida and resumed my gift business. I brought all my inventory with me. And then the pandemic hit, which was, okay, what do I do now? So I still worked. I donated. I made a lot of gifts from my inventory and donated to the hospitals for the doctors and the nurses and the firemen, all these people that did such great work for all of us. And then my friends, Eileen Meckley and Bob Clark, while I was still over on the west coast of Florida, said, we've come across this program that would be really good for you. And you'd still be helping people and starting another business. So that's how I decided. I mean, I like working. I very much like keeping busy. I mostly really enjoy helping people. So
Wow, excellent. I love
my
that.
husband was 66 years in the hospitality industry. He started his career in Germany as apprenticeship at 14.
Yes, you know, it's funny you share that with me. My sister had an unfortunate accident walking her dog in Prague, and she had to have some surgery on her hand. She broke a couple of bones. And when she came to, the lovely nurse in the hospital was she was 18. And my sister's like, are you okay to be able to be treating me and take care of me? And she said, yes, because I've been in nursing since 14, because you have to declare what you are going to do, and they put into motion what you're going to be doing. And she says, yeah, I'm a licensed practical nurse coming out of high school. So that's fantastic. Okay, people watching out there in the North America world, I think this is fantastic. So the two questions we're going to wrap up with here in this next little bit is, what is something in your business that you said a firm no to? No. And what is something that you stepped into a yes opportunity that has moved your business forward? So Lisa, I'm going to start with you. What is something that you just said no? Because there's often little girls are being trained right now that no is a complete answer. You know, no is a complete sentence, an answer. So I'd love to know, as LaChelle's coming back in, so glad that she's able to rejoin us. So what is something that you said you know what? No. And what was a yes that you stepped into business?
And when I first started my business and coming into the virtual assistant world, a lot of virtual assistants start out as generalists. They just provide general virtual assistant services. Well, the training program I went through taught me how to actually specialize, choose a specific niche and specialize in a specific area. And so that's what I did. Relationship management and follow-up is my specific niche area. So I said no to being a generalist, a general virtual assistant. However, as I grew my business over the last 4.5 years, and after the pandemic hit, of course, and so many professionals were moving into the online space, I saw where there was a need for more services, for more professionals, that were going to need help. And again, I did not want to be a generalist, but I did build a team so that I could provide more services to those that needed that help. So that's my yes and my no within my business, because I love helping people, just like most of us here on this call today. And so, if I can provide help in whatever area is needed, I would love to do so. So thank you.
And what you shared with us before is how you said you had a team. So I would say that when you said yes to that, it wasn't, I can't do this yes by myself, that you had to pull in the other people to your team for you to set firmly in that yes. Am I correct in paraphrasing that back to you?
Yes. Absolutely.
Perfect.
Thank
So
you.
Miss Lucia, same question to you. What have you said? No, but step firmly into a yes in your business.
So I have pretty high standards from a safety perspective in my business. And I will not drop those standards to earn income.
Mm.
So in other words, teaching children, for example, how to use resin, just won't do it. I don't believe it's safe, and I will not drop those standards. And what I say yes to in my business is collaborating with other people, even if they're in the same business as me, even if they're in the same resin business as I am. I do not see other creators as the competition. And I will lift them up as well as lifting myself up, because I believe if we lift each other up as crafters or as artists, we uplift the whole community with it. And that's very important to me. And I won't move from that. So it's a yes, no, yes.
Love that. So Terilee, what is something that you've said no to, and where has a yes led your business?
Okay. So I had to think about this, and some of you that have known me from networking will know. I think that when we talked about being global. When we choose to be global, sometimes some of the things that we are asked to do may not be in a nice time zone for us, right?
Oh,
like
okay.
we might be called to do something at 3 a.m. our time, or called to, be up at 5 o'clock in the morning. And so, and I want to say this speaking to the women and that may be watching, or to you all. So we all have our things in our life, right? And I don't know how many of you know that I have a chronic blood cancer. So for me, some of my hard no's, like I have to really look at what I'm being asked to and interrupting my sleep, because my self-care, all of our self-care is important, but you know what? I have to really be careful, right? And so I have to rest, I have to care for myself. So I would put some hard no's on things, and so that I could get my sleep. And if you happen to miss sleep, make sure you schedule in a nap the day after. So I have a recent yes, and that is important, I think, because maybe some of you will relate. And that's just been the yes on how about this, and Jeanette may love this because it's about social media, but it's I've got this. Yes, I've got this. And what it was for me is I was really stuck on doing reels, guys. And I don't know what my deal is. I've been doing videos and speaking and doing the things, and I got so stuck on doing them. And I finally had a breakthrough. And you know what? Yes, I got this in our business, whether it's reels, no matter what it is huge. So I want to encourage you all, if you're being stuck around something, it's just can take a small shift of thinking. It can take a small, hey, I have a piece of tech that would help you with that. So come out and tell the people what you're stuck with. Someone's going to step up and help you, and you're going to be able to move forward. So that's my no and my yes, Jeanette.
Awesome. Thank you. So Angelica, what has been a hard no, nope, and what has been a yes that you've stepped into?
Okay, so many things that I was thinking of, but I picked one. I finally picked one. I had 3 originally, but so actually, this is a very recent thing that happened, and I actually think you watched. I posted this about this on TikTok. So, it ties into knowing our value and knowing our worth. Like what Terilee said, we as entrepreneurs get all these different kinds of inquiries that come in. So more recently, it's interesting when you get a referral. You want to someone literally said to someone, hey, you should work with X. And when you get that referral, you are really excited because that word of mouth marketing is huge. So I got a referral. They wanted flowers, and there was a lot of logistics. Like they had a 2-day event, and they wanted the flowers to look fresh and beautiful and have this big display so people would take pictures in front of them, because it was a retail store. And so we went through all of the information, and I put together a really a reasonable quote, but for what needed to go into the back end of the procuring of all of the flowers and making sure they're going to last and everything. And I issue the quote, and the client says that it's too high, it's too expensive. They would rather go with someone who or only spend a third of the cost. And I had to stand in my power and know my value in that moment and say to this person, well, unfortunately, with everything considered, I actually can't go down on my price. And so if that means that you're going to look for someone else, I completely understand. I'm happy to give you a couple of days to think about it. And, especially I feel like sometimes we want to bend and shift because we are like, we're like working to eat sometimes, right? You know, or to pay our rent or all these things. And I think sometimes we get these like this was a bigger booking. And so we see that dollar amount and then we're like, oh, and then you get excited about it and your emotions get tied into it and you start forgetting about your standards, right? And so, you know, I've had too many experiences where I've had that kind of interaction and I drop the price for the person and then they don't value me. They, you know, you end up getting abused and you're working twice as hard for less money. And so sometimes it means that you're not going to get that big booking, but that means you just got to keep working at all the other things that are already working, focusing on all the customers that are already in your pool that already love you and nurturing all of those relationships so that when something does come, you are ready. And so that was a no. And then a yes. When I first started the business, one of the first few deliveries that I did was to people in Aldergrove. And the people who I was delivering the flowers to said to me, there's no flower shop in Aldergrove. And so that was this moment where I was able to just say yes. Instinctually, I knew there was no flower shop here. I knew no matter what I had to do, I had to be in Aldergrove and I had to find a way to sell my flowers in Aldergrove. And that's a whole nother story, but we only have so much time.
And I'm going to say a massive yes that Angelica did is I was sitting at a coffee shop down around the corner from both of us. I had a bouquet of flowers around my house. Just right around the corner, I have an honor hut, and that's where the lady stocks the flowers, and you either put the money in the little box or you e-transfer her. And I was constantly picking up flowers and delivering them all over. So I picked one up because I was meeting a client of mine. It was just before Canadian Thanksgiving, and I had it on my seat beside me, though Angelica couldn't see it, because I was going to gift my client these beautiful flowers for Thanksgiving. And she came bounding in with her friend. And it's so refreshing to see a younger person not going to the coffee shop that begins with an S, which is right across the street, and coming in as in supporting local. And we just started chitty-chatting, and she said yes to my hello. And it's been an incredible journey since October last year. So start saying yes to some of those hellos, just magical. So I know, LaChelle, you're on the road, and only if it's safe. The question I'm asking is, what is something that you've said no, like a hard no, and what is a yes that you've stepped into your business? If it's safe to do so, please answer the question. If not, give me a wave.
Yeah, this is really good because, it really takes us to ponder and think about these things. For me, it is saying no to people pleasing. This can really be a hard thing when you're building business. You want to expand and grow, but finding people that sometimes don't align with what it is that you want to do, all for building your business. You think that there's compromises that you have to make. And for me, that's a hard no. And what I've said yes to is speaking about the topic of depression in areas that I normally would not have even considered it. It's easy to talk about that around women, but I've been very active on a lot of different platforms related to business and marketing and networking. And I'm always ready to bring up the conversation, even if others aren't.
Love that. Love that. Thank you. So Gail, what is a hard no that you've said, and what is a yes you've stepped into?
I would say the hard no is I was raised to live my life with very high values. So in the different businesses I've been in, and even now with the social media, some of the people are quite nasty in what they say. And I've chose to ignore it. Or come back and say, you know what, that was really unkind. Come on. And it wasn't necessary to put it out there and hurt somebody's feelings. So the hard no is my husband and I both have always lived above board, especially in the industry. There's a lot of things that can go illegally. And we always said, no, it's not the way to lead your life.
Mm-hmm. And what have you stepped yes into?
I would say yes is just to keep giving and helping.
Mm,
And I think it's the best way to build your business. That yes, you need money, and we all. I have plans of helping others with the money that I make, but it's not my number one thing. Reaching out and helping others and even educating other people is a really good yes.
love that. So Lisa, I'm going to have you come off microphone for a second and grab, because I know you're a virtual assistant, put you to work just for a little bit and grab a pen or a piece of paper, a piece of paper. And I'm going to get you to do a little bit of math here, because there's power in numbers. Yes, I share on social media, but I also help people understand the analytics and the numbers game when it comes to. So Lucia, from the first day that you showed up for work in life, dial it way back, how long have you been working?
$35.
35, please, Lisa, write it down. Terilee, the first day that you showed up for work in your life, how long have you been working?
44.
44. Awesome. Gail, the first day that you showed up for work, how many years? Oh, you're on mute, darling.
Okay, 54.
Angelica, the first day that you showed up for work.
Made me feel really young. 17.
Okay, no. America's Supermom.
39.
39. Lisa, what's your number?
36.
I'm going to say I'm 59. I babysat. Do the math real quick. I'm going to say about 47 because I was a babysitter. Can you give me a grand total, please?
Give me just a moment.
There's power in numbers. There's power in all these lovely women's lives. Diversity. If those that follow me on LinkedIn, I have had many different places where I've taken my skill set to in my life. There has always been a core thread that when I helped my first customer in retail many years ago, and I'll share this kind of fun story for all of you, that when you do something that is building a relationship for the company that you are working for, and this is for the younger people out there, is I got into ladies clothing fashion after being the very first plus size model with a famous modeling agency here in town. I was 19 years old. And when I started doing my modeling, a lot of the retail stores for plus size fashion in the early 80s said, Jeanette, you look like you're really interacting with these lovely ladies to have a very high self-confidence. Why don't you come and work in our stores? I was going to culinary school. See, there's a lot of alignment here. Going to culinary school when I was in my, when I was 19, 20 as well. And when I made that first sale, there was a lady, Mike Ree knows of Loverboy's mom was a customer of ours, and Miss Rianowski came in, and I worked with Miss Rianowski for about 3.5 hours. We were pulling outfits together, and we had a beautiful rolling rack, and this is going to go with this, and this is going to go with that. And I had an elderly, probably my age now, was my assistant manager. And I turned and I looked and I said to the assistant manager, and I said, I'm taking my client for coffee. Please have all this wrapped up, put into garment bags. I'll be back. And I left the store. I left the store and I went and I had a coffee and refreshed my client, and we had a great time and came back and everything was in garment bags. And her bill was, I'm going to say at the time, probably $3,000-$4,000 because I worked in a high-end women's clothing store. And why I share this is it's more important the customer's needs than the transaction in the end or the dollar value in it. When I came back, everything, I rolled the rack out to her car, came back. Did I get in trouble? Absolutely not. Because they recognize that I built relationship first before I built a transaction. So just be aware, put the time into your customers, and really, and Miss Rianowski came back time and time again. So drum roll. Lisa, what's our total?
272.
So there's 275, I'm going to round it up, of hours put in of work. with these ladies that are on the screens that have developed themselves, developed people around them that have connected around the four corners of this round world. So I encourage you on the replay, this video is going to be up on my YouTube channel as well, is connect with any one of these ladies. 17 years over here, 50 years over there, 37 over there, 40 up there where I'm sitting. I don't know where I'm pointing, you know, where you're sitting on my screen, where you are. That's what International Women's Day is about. It's about the evolution of how we work, better ourselves, better our communities. So let's go around the room really quickly in one sentence. One word of wisdom for a lady out there on International Women's Day. We will start with the youngest, Miss Angelica.
Words of wisdom. It's just a threshold and you can take the steps.
Beautiful, thank you. We'll go over to a mom that has not allowed 15 children to allow her to thrive, survive, and be alive. What is your one sentence word of wisdom?
Do it scared. Just do it.
Beautiful. Gail. You're off mute. Good.
Okay. Step out of your comfort zone and be passionate about what you're doing.
There's an and to that. I often say your comfort zone lies in the arms of the people you've built relationships with. So leap. We're ready for you. Lucia.
Do not let societal constraints define who you are as a woman and as a business owner.
Fantastic. Thank you. Terilee.
You are good enough, you matter, and you are loved.
Excellent. Lisa, our mathematician.
Never give up. Keep moving forward.
There you go. And I will add my word of wisdom. Surround yourself with the people that you're in alignment with. The master networker, the person of gratitude, the person that makes the world look a better place on my walls, the person who makes my table look beautiful with flowers, the one who, if I need wisdom to do with family, I've got, the one who's going to help me keep my life in order. Surround yourself with men and women and everybody in between that's going to support you. And that's how we can celebrate International Women's Day, not only today, but every day. And every day. Thank you, everybody who tuned in to watch this live. Thank you, my beautiful, lovely ladies. Let's all go out and celebrate today, because as Terilee said, you are loved, you matter, and we are all enough. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.